2020 NFL draft is all over, and we're going to talk about it right away because it was one wild one for your Minnesota Vikings, as we had many picks in this one. So let's go in and review all these draft prospects, and at the very end, stay tuned, I'll give you my grade for this draft. So I'll start off with round one, which I won't go as in depth with because I did a little reaction video, but starting off with Justin Jefferson, and he is going to be our monster outside of Adam Thielen. Very excited about him, and he's going to be on the other side of Thielen most of the time, but I also think his comparison is straight away Adam Thielen. His bread and butter is these 10 to 15 yard passes, but that's not the only thing he has. He also can be a deep threat. He can be an underneath run after the catch guy as well. It's not his number one best traits, but he definitely does have that arsenal, and I think he has the entire game. He has the full NFL wide receiver skill set. He's going to be a stud in Minnesota. So moving on down to our second first round pick is Jeff Gladney, the Bulldog. This is the feistiest smaller cornerback I think I've ever seen. He's like 5'11". He can play inside and out. He's like Mike Hughes with an attitude, and I really like that. He has the same ball hawking ability. Then I think he's already an improvement over 2019 Xavier Rhodes. So we definitely improved at cornerback already. I like his versatility inside and out. The only thing he doesn't have is the blessed size. We saw how Mike Hughes got torched in the Cowboys with his 5'10" frame, and Gladney being about the same size could have the same issues, but both can play inside, and I think when they're on smaller wide receivers, that's where we will really see him shine. No longer will we get beat by these small little guys just going across the field. I think these guys match up really well, and he brings an attitude to our defensive backfield, which I think we really need, and hopefully that will go down the whole defense. So a great first day. Moving to the second day of the draft, starting round two. We drafted our left tackle of the future, Ezra Cleveland. Cleveland, big time, upside, left tackle, really high ceiling, a little bit of a low floor for some fans, but I think his potential is overwhelmingly good. About 6'6", like 310 pounds. Needs to add a little bit more weight to fill out his frame and a little bit more strength, but he has unbelievable upside and athleticism. His traits are off the board. Obviously, the comparison here is going to be Brian O'Neill, just on the left side of the offensive line. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this guy pans out. I'm not sure if he's a day one starter, especially with a lack of rookie minicamp and all this off-season programming, and we have to even see how much we even get of this football season. But moving forward, I think the Vikings will want him to start sooner rather than later because their offensive line in that scenario is starting to look really good. Starting left to right, if it's Cleveland, Reef, Bradbury, I think we have kind of a battle at right guard between Samia and Elfline. With lackluster of offseason programming, it's probably leaning towards Elfline, but still really close, basically a toss-up. And then right tackle is Brian O'Neill. Especially our tackles and our center. Probably the most athletic trio in the league, and one of the most up and down athletic offensive lines in the league. So I don't think this is a group that's going to be the best plow ahead for the 3-yard gains. Maybe in the end zone or in the goal line situations, they will struggle. Third and shorts might struggle a little bit. But first and 10s, outside zone, that will consistently get 5 yards, that has the potential to break it off for 50 yards every single play, with how these guys can get after it, get those cutoff blocks, get those second level guys block, cut down. Heck, these guys could even get to the third level, get some safeties occasionally. So I really like what we're doing here. And if Cleveland can live up to his immense potential, we really got a stud. The one question mark here is Josh Jones was still on the table, and the Vikings went with the higher upside Cleveland. So we have to hope that that's not going to bite them, with Jones usually being mocked in the like 15th or 20th overall, and he's sliding all the way to the third round. That's definitely intriguing. But Cleveland will sneak in the first round in some mocks too, so I don't think it's a big difference. But we definitely went with a more upside option there. Moving to our second day 2 pick, round 3, pick 25, is Cameron Dantzler. Dantzler, tall and lengthy. He looks like a stick on the field. He's like 6'2" and looks like he's about 95 pounds. Like, he's can't be a percentage of fat on his body, but he plays a lot more physical than you might expect with his slender frame, so I don't think it'll be much of a problem. And especially the best thing about him is how great he played against the best competition. He was outstanding versus LSU and Alabama, so I think just when you're going against the best and you beat the best in college, that should translate very well to the NFL. So I am very excited what he can bring to the team, and both him and Gladney are both press man corners at their best. So I would like the idea of Zimmer stop playing his corners 6 yards out the ball, let these guys get in the wide receiver's face and just play ball, and I really like that strategy. And Dantzler is a great compliment to Gladney. Gladney being a little bit on the smaller side, Dantzler's 6'2", gives us another big body option to pair with Holton Hill and Chris Boyd to take care of some of those bigger wideouts on the outside. And I'm really excited how well Dantzler plays out. And if him or Gladney pans out to be a high-level starter, we really aced and improved our defensive backfield in one draft. So great to see that. Moving to day 3 of the draft, and this is where a lot of the fireworks start to happen. We kind of start to go off the beaten path a bit, where for the first 2 days we stuck pretty close to the consensus big board. We took the guys that fell to us and grabbed them right there, and we're doing very well and getting the guys that everyone says is good. In day 3, we're getting the guys we think are good. This is where we're going with our scouts and getting our traits that we want, and we want these team captains, we want these guys that have the athletic ability that we can develop into these stars. So the guy that exemplifies it the most is probably the first pick of the third day, and that is DJ Wanham. Very low on the consensus big board, but his traits, his athletic ability, his size, length, athletics, extremely high, and a guy the Vikings really want to mold into the next big thing. He's an edge rusher out of South Carolina, and so of course the very first comparison everyone's going to go to, oh, this is just another Danielle Hunter 2.0. But let's hold your horses a little bit. But I think if he's just a poor man's Danielle, we're going to be just fine with that. Danielle with his 12 sack rookie year, if Wanham can get his 8, we'll be very, 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 very happy. So I think that's really good news. Another athletic guy for Patterson and company to craft. And by the way, with these defensive players, if Patterson and Zimmer agree that they're good, I'll take their bet over some of these other guys making their other big boards, filling out the consensus one. So I will take their bet every single time. So I'm high on Wanham, and I think they have their guy. Maybe he'll take a year or two before we'll see him at his best. But I think probably a year 1 rotational player, and that's great to have on the team. You always need more pass rushers. Sticking to the defensive line with the second pick in the 4th round, pick 24, 130th overall, is James Lynch, who is kind of a defensive end in Baylor, but definitely going to slide into the 3 tech for the Vikings. And he straight up has a chance to start right away. I think we're going to have an open battle there. But what he is a powerhouse. He can just, on his tape, he's out there bench pressing offensive linemen. I don't think that will translate to the NFL, say for offensive line to offensive lineman, but I love what he has, just a straight up powerhouse. Get him some moves. Another guy that I think Patterson will develop into another very good defensive lineman, and I think he's going to be in that battle right away. I think we kind of have a 3-way battle there at 3 tech right now, and it's going to be between Lynch, Hercules Mataafa, and Armin Watts are my 3 guys that will be competing. One guy that wasn't listed is Shamar Stephen, And I think with this pick, he could be out the door tomorrow. If the Vikings want to get a veteran player signed, and we need a little bit more room in the salary cap, Stefan can go and we can sign Everson Griffin or one of these other guys to fill in a gap that we didn't quite get in the draft. And we have that now, that we have another guy that could slide in at 3-tech, and I really like what we did there. And our last pick in the 4th round, he has 3 picks in the 4th round, is Troy Dye, linebacker out of Oregon. He's got the size, he's got the athletics, he's a very smart outside linebacker, and he's a little bit lackadaisical. What does that sound like to you? If it doesn't sound like Anthony Barr, I don't know what it does. A poor man's Anthony Barr. He's athletic. He will kind of take some plays off. He might not be the workout warrior that you would love, but he has all the ability that you would need, and I think he could compete for our starting linebacker. I think that's crazy to get way late in the 4th round, where all these guys that we've drafted thus far will either be playing a high-time rotational role like Wanham, or have a chance to start, and Troy Dye will at least be a core special teams player. So I really like what they got here with Dye. I think Eric Wilson is definitely the front runner there. Him and Gideon will be tough to beat. But down the road, I think Gideon's last year of his contract's coming up next year. Eric Wilson's on his tender, so again, he'll be a free agent as well. So definitely, at the very least, a huge insurance policy we pulled out there. And if we want to release Barr or cut him or do something else with that, I think who else to replace Barr but then a poor man's Anthony Barr. So I think that'd be great. And we really got us a great player there. Moving to the 5th round, we get our 3rd defensive back in Harrison Hand. In college, he played all 3 different types of coverage positions: press, off coverage, and zone. But in the pros, it looks like he's going to be a best fit for zone. He struggles a little bit in run support as well. He has decent size. He might have to transition to safety, but I mean, another kind of a backup at defensive back. I'm not super excited about his pick. I know a lot of fans kind of want him to move back to safety, so we have that double Harrison backfield, but I'm not super keen on that due to him not being elite or being good at tackling, or that not being a strong suit of his at the very least. Moving on to our 2nd to 5th round pick is probably my least favorite of this, and that is KJ Osborne. Slot receiver, decent speed, about 6 foot, over 200 pounds. He ran a 4.4 40, so good speed, but doesn't really show up on tape. He doesn't get around people on the deep balls. He's not really elusive on run after the catch, at least as a receiver. But what he is going to be good at is his special teams. Something Mike Zimmer referenced as soon as he was on the call is he expects him to be able to win the punt return job. And if he can win that kick return job and he can turn to be a good gunner, and he's a special teams ace, I think a 5th round pick's going to be a little bit high on that, but the value that you get out of a 4-year special teams ace is good, especially with how cheap a 5th rounder's contract's going to be. This is not good news for Amir Abdullah, who is that guy, but you can replace you can have a rookie contract replace a veteran. That's always good news. You get younger and cheaper. That is good, and hopefully even get better. And we need explosiveness out of that punt return job. So of course, my comparison for Osborne is a wide receiver version of Marcus Sherrills. You don't see him a whole lot on offense, but you will see him as hopefully a really good special teams player. So hopefully we can get a lot of that. Moving to the 6th round. Another offensive lineman is Blake Brandel. In college, he was an offensive tackle, but will probably slide into guard. And what he needs to add on some strength. He has a good frame. He's like 6'7" or something. He's huge, but he needs to add on some strength to his frame. Even in college, he's very susceptible on bull rushes. He doesn't move people into the run game. He has enough athletic ability where he could probably slide in and be a backup zone blocking lineman. And since he played tackle in college, he'll probably slide into guard. Will give us that position flexibility, which is good out of backups. But I would not expect him to be a starter at least anytime soon. But might be able to be a backup. But again, that's gonna be an uphill battle too. He'll have to beat out Dakota Dozier, a guy like that, with that position flexibility. And he has similar, you know, he has similar weaknesses as Dozier too, with lacking some strength. So he might be a practice squad candidate moving to 2020. To round 6, a guy that will probably make the active roster is Josh Matias, safety. Very good downhill tackling safety. He wraps up. He has some position flexibility. He can play safety or he can slide in at nickel, play in the slot. So I see Matias. He's a poor man's Antoine Winfield Jr. You don't get the ball hawking traits that Winfield would give you, but he's a great in the box safety. And the Vikings have had very good success with these right round safeties. So I'm very excited for him. With Anthony Harris's future all up in, no idea what's going to happen with him, whether or not the Vikings will still trade him, which would be ridiculous this year, or if they'll let him play out this contract, let him walk. He could be starting next year, or if they do something crazy and trade him before training camp, or he holds out or whatever, maybe as early as this year. So I am excited to see what we got out of this Michigan safety, and I think if we can get him to learn Zimmer's scheme, play some good zone coverage, and learn some ball hawking traits, I think we could have something here, and it could be a really good sleeper late in the 6th round. So a good pickup there. And then round 7. We're going with defensive end Kenny Willekes. Where we had a defensive end earlier that was high upside but very raw. Willekes is not that. He doesn't have those explosive traits that you love. Doesn't have that great size that you want. But what he does bring is that chip on the shoulder, blue collar work ethic. I'm going to get the job done regardless attitude, and you love to see that. He was a walk-on in school, won the award for the best walk-on in college. So if he can bring that same attitude to the pros, we lost 2 defensive ends, assuming we don't bring Everson back. He could still make the roster. It's definitely far from a shoo-in for him, but if we do have preseason, he's definitely a guy I'm going to be watching week 4 of the preseason, see what type of pressure he can generate. High motor, high effort player. Have to root for him, but definitely not the highest of ceilings, I'd have to say. Next is another 7th round pick is, of course, Kirk Cousins' replacement, Nate Stanley. Of course, that's a joke. He will not be playing over Cousins, or probably not even our backup quarterback, and may not even make the roster. But Nate Stanley, what he does bring is a big arm quarterback. He's 6'4", like 220, so he has the NFL size, NFL arm, but the arm throwing power is there, but man, this guy is not accurate. His completion percentage was like 58% in Iowa, so I'm not super excited to see what he will, if he can mature his arm, get his throwing lanes down. He might be able to turn into a quality backup, but that's where I see his ceiling as of right now. He doesn't have any athletic ability to scramble or maneuver around in the pocket as well. So we have a big arm quarterback that's a statue in the pocket, kind of like what Cousins is, but Cousins is just like the elitist of levels at that spot. If Nate can, probably maybe you will have to compete for quarterback 3 / that practice squad quarterback option, and we'll have to see what happens with him to see if he's good. Another candidate to watch week 4 preseason, if that is a thing. So if the Vikings wasted a 7th round pick to make preseason more fun, hey, I'm all for it. And the marathon is over. Round 7, pick 39. The Vikings' final selection in this draft is guard Kyle Hinton, and where we needed some power up front, this is the guy. He is an absolute mammoth when it comes to playing strength. He'll need to work on some footwork. Obviously, he's late in the 7th round, but with 34 bench reps, 4.8840. This is the explosive high traits guard that the Vikings like. This is kind of what we got last year with Sumia. Sumia was a little bit of a better fine-tuned prospect, but another guy that compete for a guard role, and I kind of like him maybe better than Randall. I'm not sure if he gives the same level of flexibility, but the upside for a late round pick is really good. You want to add a little bit more mass to his frame. He's only 295. But if he gets up to 310 with how strong he already is, he's going to be a force in the run game. And if he gets some footwork things down, he's a guy to kind of look out for as definitely a late round sleeper in this draft class. But there we have it. A huge slew of young talent coming to your favorite football team. Tell me, who is your favorite, maybe sleeper pick in this draft? I know everybody's favorite picks is probably Jefferson, who kind of slid on our lap in the first round. But that seems like it was about a week ago already. So much talent, so many players that could have a starting role right away, and at least a lot of players that will have a factor on our team. So I like what we did in this draft quite a bit. Every analyst I'm saying is praising this draft class. I know a lot of Minnesota fans, Gopher fans especially, are really low on it because the Bucks decided to steal both Gophers that were really high, and the linebacker went to the Packers, I believe. But hey, I don't think we needed the Gophers to win. I think this is quite a good draft regardless. I do think it is extremely bizarre that with Spielman trading down all the time, we didn't trade up once in this draft class. Well, what that does tell me is we had a lot of players at a similar level, or maybe we didn't know a lot about all these late round picks. So hey, let's just throw a bunch of darts at the board and hope for the best. If one or two of them turns out to be quality, even role players, they don't even have to be starters, then I think we did fine in the late rounds. And I think I will ding him a little bit for not trading up. It'd been great to have, 3, 4, an extra 1 or 2 picks in the 3rd or 4th round would have been great. We could have done some more things, but we kind of sat back, traded back, and hopefully it doesn't bite us down the road. We missed a guy or two that could have been really good, but I like what we did overall, and I think we made ourselves a lot better in this draft class. I'll give it a nice, hefty A- on this draft class. Very good. We got better in this 2020 draft class, and that's what you expect. We got better right away and should get even better down the road when these guys develop even further. So give me your thoughts, give me your grade in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next JWC Vikings video, and hopefully this isn't our only live sports of the year. We'll see you guys then.